All right, Helaine, well, we just got the room opened up for this morning's edition of Trade of the Day Live. Super excited to be here live in the room with you. Obviously, per usual, a lot going on in the market, but super excited to be here breaking it all down with you. I want to welcome everybody in to today's version of TOD Live. Of course, we have the Zoom room open, have a lot of our regulars here. They're piling into the room. I see you all popping in here. I see Dell, I see Bruce, I see Holland. Let's see who else is here. See Patrick, welcome in, welcome in. I see Bob, welcome in everybody. Really excited to have you all here joining us live. Thanks so much for being here. Of course, everybody tuning in on TikTok as well. Really excited to be here live with you all here today. Helaine, anything you want to share? Any thoughts or anything before we hop in, or anything
No,
like that?
I'm excited to be here. Let's dive on in, Blane.
Awesome, fantastic. Well, let's go ahead, pull up our charts. We always, of course, we like to start off just kind of breaking down from 10,000 foot view, what the market's doing at the index level. Of course, we're seeing some, a lot of rallies kind of across the board. We're looking specifically at the S&P 500 chart right here. This is the cap weighted index. But we're seeing new all-time highs in the Dow as well. We're seeing small caps rally. I mean, you look at a chart of the Russell 2000, or just the IWM Russell 2000 ETF. That thing is breaking out very strongly to the upside. Of course, just yesterday, really, the last two trading days, Friday of last week, of course, Monday, just yesterday, we've had two consecutive new all-time high closes on the S&P 500, and starting to push right up against that big round number on the S&P 7,000, Helaine. Of course, we're seeing the same thing in the equally weighted S&P 500 as well. Really strong performance and momentum going there because we've seen all the broadening out we've talked so much about. So overall at the index level, some really really great things to see. Just looking at the technicals and the trend lines and the charts. So.
Absolutely, Blane. I couldn't agree more. Everything is still appearing strong, just chugging along here. Enjoying what feels like a nice deep breath that we can take here for a moment.
Yeah, yeah, without a doubt, certainly. Certainly some big market stories going on, some, political things kind of bleeding into market stories. There's, a lot of noise per usual, but, have to commend the market. A lot of times there is a lot of noise going on, and, the market's remaining resilient. It's staying focused on, earnings, things like that, interest rates. And just speaking of earnings too, Helaine, we did just hop right into earnings season in really a big way just this morning. We just kicked off Q4 earnings report earnings reporting season. A lot of the banks kicked off this morning. We just had J.P. Morgan, we have Bank of New York Mellon report today. So really kind of got things moving. Had some interesting reactions from the financials there. So, I think that's kind of why you're seeing a roughly flat to down S&P today, as the financials are having a little bit of weight on that. So that'll kind of blend right into what we're going to talk about next with some of the sectors we're watching. But just to close out things we're talking about here at the index level, again, still really strong trend. Love to see the new higher highs and higher lows, new all-time highs that the indexes have broken out to. And despite all that too, Helaine, it's not even trading in a clearly defined overbought state either. So it looks like there's still plenty of room to run to the upside. Doesn't mean we're going to go there right immediately. We certainly could have a bit of a pullback, but overall the trend's shaping up really really nicely. But with that, I want to go ahead and pivot into the next thing we want to talk about before we hop into our trade ideas for today. Of course, Helaine, we've talked a lot recently, about just the broadening out that we've seen in the market. It's been a really powerful force. A lot of different sectors starting to participate across the board. But I really want to hone in today on specifically some of the sectors that we're really watching right now because they're outperforming relative to the broader market. Of course, those are the sectors we always like to really hone in on target to try and find our swing trade ideas. So, Helaine, right here, we have a chart pulled up of the XLI. This is the industrial ETF, of course. Helaine, you want to talk about what you're seeing in this one right here?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if you guys join us on Trade of the Day Live, then you know that I had specifically said that I loved XLI. I think this was, wait, Blane, sorry, you have XLI up, right?
Yeah, XLI. Yeah, the industrial ETF. Yep.
I had trouble seeing your chart there for a second. Last week, I pinpointed XLI. I said, wow, this is breaking out. I want to get in on this. This is clearly making a technical breakout right now. And because of that, if you had joined and followed along, you saw that I was looking to trade a Caterpillar, symbol CAT, call option spread. And I'm glad I did because the stock took off, and so did that underlying index or ETF, sector ETF. And if you had been on live last week, you saw that I said, oh, maybe I should just enter a call option purchase for XLI. I wish I had. I had not, but clearly XLI is on this confirmed breakout buy signal, strong momentum. Right now, though, it's overheated. It is near the lows of the day in overbought territory above that upper counter channel. So in the short term, we are expecting a pullback for XLI, but overall, really strong trend there.
Yeah, without a doubt, like I said, it's one, if you were to overlay, a chart of the S&P, obviously both have been going up, but this has been going up even faster. So there's a lot of capital flowing into this. There's a lot of momentum behind the XLI ETF. As you mentioned, it's a little overbought right now. It certainly is, at
Mhm.
least, for the sector ETF, it's overbought and, due for a bit of a pullback. That doesn't mean every, constituent within these sector ETFs that we're covering right now, doesn't mean all of them are also overbought. That, there's probably also some great opportunities within those sectors that are, in great trends arguably, but not overbought themselves individually yet. So, we'll kind of touch on that a bit later. But again, this is one of those sectors right now that's really benefiting from that rotation. It's one of the areas we're targeting. Up next, Helaine, is one that, this is an interesting one. It's the materials sector ETF. This is XLB. And this is one, that, gosh, it just feels like it just kind of goes through these really long, just kind of dead periods, and it's just really dead money, and nobody's paying attention to it. And then sometimes out of nowhere, you just get this rip-roaring rally like we've gotten really in the last month, where this thing has just roared higher. Obviously, again, a major beneficiary of some of the rotation, but this is an interesting one too from a swing trading perspective. Obviously, a clear, trend line buy signal breaking out. Call it midway through December of last month, continuing to trade higher here. So again, one that we're keeping a close eye on. It certainly is a little overextended to the upside, but remember, we're trying to target these sector ETFs that are trading with the strongest relative strength compared to the overall market. So they're outperforming the market. You're seeing some of that alpha there. So just trying to focus and trying to find opportunities and identify those in these really strong sectors. And Helaine, the last one that currently is showing some of that really strong relative strength is this one right here. It's the consumer discretionary. This is the XLY. Obviously continuing to get some, resilient consumer data. That's certainly been a tailwind for this sector right here. But kind of what are you seeing in this chart right here, Helaine?
Yeah, XLY, I mean, that has been a red hot swing, I have to say. And, consumer discretionary, it had, sorry, Blane? Oh, no, sorry.
Oh,
Had quite a pullback in November. I started to get a little bit nervous about that sector specifically, but it came back, and since then has really taken off. Of course, we saw that short little correction pullback late December, and then once again that resumption of that previous bull trend, making a series of longer term higher highs and higher lows. Also, important to note that looking at the 1 year chart, it has hit a series of new 52-week highs the last couple of days. Not today, but yesterday and the day before.
mhm.
So really confirming that strong, powerful bullish trend for XLY.
Yeah, without a doubt, there's a lot to really like about the XLY. And, again, too, one thing I always like to keep in mind is, when you're in a really strong bull market, what are the sectors that you really want to see rallying, right? When people
Mhm.
kind of get scared in the markets, where do they flee to? They flee to staples, they flee to utilities. Those are doing okay right now, but they're certainly not breaking out. They don't have the charts like these right now. You want to see things, like financials. You want to see things like XLY. You want to see industrials. You want to see, of course, technology obviously is a leader a lot of times in this current market. But you want to see those type of sectors rallying, and those are all the ones that we're seeing breaking out right now. They have great looking charts. Another great one right here for XLY. So just adding some, context and commentary around that. One final one, Helaine, before we hop into our trade ideas. Again, this isn't one little bit different commentary on this one. Of course, this is XLK, the major tech sector ETF. A lot of people track this one. Some of you out there probably own this one. But this one, certainly it's been a consolidation period lately. It's not breaking out the new all-time highs, new 52-week highs, anything like that. It's been, kind of rough, just trading sideways, consolidating for several months now. Obviously, again, it's largely because a lot of the rotation that's occurred has come out of the technology space. But this one right here, one thing I'll note that's, really catching my eye that I think could be kind of setting up for a move, maybe say call it later this month or maybe next month. I think it's on the horizon. We're not quite there yet. It hasn't quite been broken out, but I'm watching it really closely because as we know, a lot of the mega cap tech names, they have been underperforming. They've been laggards to the indexes, laggards to a lot of these other sectors we've been talking about. But this one, you can see it's starting to get in this consolidative type trading. You're starting to see these series and patterns of the lows that are starting to hit. It's starting to tighten up. You're starting to see these higher lows. Hasn't quite broken out to new higher highs on the upside yet, but it keeps kind of trading up to this resistance level. Call it around 148, 149. Roughly right around there. But it's not making new lows. So you're seeing this really strong extended period of consolidation. Certainly, we're seeing a lot of great movement, in the equally weighted index because of all these other sectors that are rallying. But one thing I think is really important to note with the type of move that we've seen, there's only so far that some of those sectors can run before they're due for a breather. You see some cooling off in some of those areas and start to see some rotation, profit taking out of that. And I think the most obvious place that a lot of that is going to flood back into is the market's favorite stocks, the favorite winners that have been, the winners for quite some time now. And it's the mega cap tech stocks that have gotten so oversold, that have been, really kind of ignored for the past, 4, 5, 6 months, depending on which one you're talking about. So, I think you might be in for a bit of a catch-up trade here from technology, about a month or so out. So certainly something we're watching for here on the horizon. And again, it's just rotation. It's the lifeblood of bull markets. This would be a nice thing to kind of continue to propel us, further through on the new year. So something we're watching closely here. Just wanted to touch on that real quick, Helaine. So anything else to add there before we hop into our trade ideas?
Nope, I couldn't agree more. Blane, go ahead and let's kick us off with the trade ideas.
Yeah, perfect. Well, let's go ahead and pull up the trade ideas. And like we were talking about earlier, right now, all that said about technology, right now, we're focusing on those sectors and stocks within those sectors that are still showing that really strong relative strength that are performing right here, right now, of course. So the one I'm focused on here today is ROK. This is Rockwell Automation. Of course, they're in the industrial sector. It's a big player in, automating, different robotics and things, with manufacturing. That's kind of their business. But obviously, just looking at the chart right here, you can see really we're coming out of the April lows of last year. This stock, it took off like a rocket ship, had a massive move higher, consolidated through, the back half of summer into early fall. And then the stock started to take off yet again. All the while, it still maintained a trend line buy signal here with the 21-day EMA remaining above the 63-day EMA. That buy signal kicked off in May. It's been intact ever since. And, the stock's starting to angle back up yet again. It's starting to make those new higher highs and higher lows. Just today, it broke out to a new intraday all-time, I believe this is an all-time high for Rockwell. A new intraday all-time high. It just had a new all-time closing high just yesterday, it looks like. And, so the stock had, traded up in December, found some resistance, came down the middle Keltner channel, kind of consolidated after the big ramp up it had throughout the fall. And now it's starting to reaccelerate yet again to the upside. So obviously a very strong bullish pattern that Rockwell's putting together. And even better, Helaine, at current prices, you can see we have our Keltner channels overlaid on the chart. The stock at the current price level at 415 is trading inside that upper Keltner channel band right there. Mm-hmm. So that is signaling that Rockwell is, despite the great trend, it's not currently overbought at these levels. So the way I'm actually looking to play this one, again, I love the trend for Rockwell. I think it's a breakout in progress. But one thing, it is a bit of an expensive stock. It is, it's a little over $400. So, for your average trader out there, it probably would be a little pricey trying to, just go long this one with just buying straight calls because, just take a look. If you're looking at some of the in the money calls, look at the at the money one right here, you're still paying over $2,000 just trying to buy an at the money call right here if you're trying to play it that way. So with this one, I'm trying to use our spread trades, particularly our in the money call debit spread right here at 1 because of, it's going to help to lower the cost. You can see the spread that I've honed in on here is trading at the current midpoint price, just a touch above 8 points for the spread. But also too, it's a nice, a little bit deeper in the money spread, looking to buy to open the 370, sell to open the 380. Again, looking at the February 20th option expiration date right here. With that, that's going to give me a little bit of wiggle room and with the trade in case we get a further pullback. We're talking about some of the sectors we were looking at earlier, like XLI. It certainly has run quite far recently, so it certainly is due for some cooling in the weeks to come. If we see that, if Rockwell participates in a little bit of a pullback, this spread will give me a chance to participate in this bullish trend while also having some of that downside protection too. So I'm going to go ahead, place this in here, see if I can get it filled at 8.1, 8.15, somewhere around there. It wouldn't try and go anywhere above 8.2 for this 10-point spread. That'd kind of be the ceiling on my trade right there, but looks like I just got it filled right there at 8.15. So that was my trade for today.
Awesome, Blane. I love the trade. I love Rockwell, I have to say. And I also will say that the trade that you did, I mean, it provides a tremendous amount of downside protection in case that Rockwell turns against you. You were selling the 380 strike. I mean, that's below the lower channel.
It's right there.
Below all the recent lows. So that is an awesome trade. It's one that I would consider as well.
Yeah, it's a really, like I said, it's a great way to gain some exposure to a really strong bullish uptrend, but also still remaining really conservative. You still have, about a, 22% profit potential on that, depending on, where the option order got filled at. But, looking to buy the 370, sell the 380, the trade's all the way down here. So, as long as Rockwell remains trading at or above that, come option expiration, it would be set up to automatically realize that full profit potential. Doesn't mean you have to wait all the way to the expiration. Certainly could, realize a nice profit ahead of that, but just kind of, some mechanics on how that trade works. But Helaine, you have a trade for today too as well, right?
I do. But hey guys, before I share my trade, I just remind everybody that after I share my trade, we're going to jump into your trade. So if you have not done so already, go ahead in the chat, in the comments, put your favorite trades right now, some stocks that you want us to analyze. Once again, this is me through the lens of a swing trader, looking for a momentum trader, trend follower, all of those things. So go ahead and put those stock symbols into the chat. We're going to get into those right after I share my trade of the day. So first, my trade is going to be for Eli Lilly, symbol LLY. And this healthcare stock has been setting up for a prime entry opportunity with much of the healthcare sector. I will say, if you look at XLV, Eli Lilly's chart is very, very similar. So it is performing alongside with a breaking out sector, XLV. So LLY is on a confirmed buy signal. It's trading above the 200-day moving average as well as that 35-day EMA, confirming both the shorter and the longer term trend for Eli Lilly. Additionally, that 35-day EMA is trading above that 200-day moving average, meaning that buy signal is confirmed. And now looking to time my entry for Eli Lilly, I want my stock to be trading within the counter channels. That's telling me the stock is not currently overbought or sold, so it's not likely to pull back and sell off after I enter into a position. So right now, Eli Lilly has been trading right around the middle counter channels. It pulled back off of overbought conditions and appears to be bouncing higher. So I'm looking to enter a position for LLY. This is one of those stocks, guys. It's $1,000 per share. As much as I would love to get a call option purchase for them, they would be so expensive. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to trade a call option debit spread on Eli Lilly. Also give myself that extra downside protection in case the stock moves against me. I'm looking at the February 20th, 1,110 strike spread. It's important to note, this is a very wide bid-ask spread. These options, they just don't have much volume. There is open interest, a good amount of open interest, but there's really little to no volume. This happens with high price stocks fairly often, I would say. And so I want to make sure that I'm using a limit order to enter my position that ensures that I'm not going to overpay for the spread because Right now, the bid is at 175 and the ask is at 1250. That is a huge spread. That does not stop me from trying to enter into what looks like a good position. So I am going to enter with a limit order. I'm going to set my limit order to 775. Right now, halfway between the bid and the ask is 713. I would expect that this is going to bounce around. I'm going to have to adjust my price in order to get into the trade. That's okay with me. Ideally, I want to get in at 8 points or lower. Oh, I was immediately filled at 775. I guess I
That's
could have
great.
gone lower, but but I'm happy that I got in.
Yeah, that's awesome, Helene. I think it's a really, important thing to talk about there. With these spreads, with these really high-priced stocks like Lilly. Sometimes, yeah, you're going to find even if the options have a lot of open interest, or even if they have a lot of volume, sometimes, again, that bid-ask spread for those can be, a little wider with $1,000 stock like Lilly,
Exactly.
and you obviously really like the trend. I think it's a really strong one. It looks like a great trade set up here with a lot of potential, but just with that bid ask spread, the current midpoint price, we generally like to get into midpoint price for the spread and try to fit that in with our price trade selection parameters. But sometimes you're willing to even though currently this one is showing the midpoint price on my end for the spread at 7.28, obviously it'd be great if you could get filled there. You probably won't be able to, but again, keeping in mind that we'll, as long as we can get filled at 8 points or less, or really kind of a hard ceiling at like 8.2. Given the great trends, you're willing to give up a little bit of that on the front end, knowing that yeah, I might get filled at 7.75 or 7.8, but this is a little bit longer term hold. It's a time value decay play, and it's okay if it on paper has a $30-40 loss once I get filled, just because a little bit less open interest. That's okay, because as that time value decays away, as long as that trade stays in the money, it's going to end up working out okay.
Exactly, Blane. Exactly. And you're right, if you get filled a little too high, it will show that you immediately have a loss on the trade. And it doesn't mean that you are going to have a losing trade because of, as you said, Blane, that time value as it decays, it turns into profit for that trade. But it just the nature of entering into options. There's a bid ask spread, and you're going to get filled somewhere in between. And depending where you get filled, it could immediately show that you have a profit or a loss, or just be flat on the trade. So that's a great, great point.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, I'm really glad that you selected that trade so we kind of talked through it. That's, kind of, 200, 300 level options trading kind of, things of just, things that you'll run into as you trade options, but just kind of a little perspective about how we would view a scenario just like that one. So,
Exactly.
Helaine, with that, I know we have a lot of comments coming in, both in the Zoom,
Oh,
both in the TikTok.
oh yeah,
But I think now would be a great time to go ahead and hop into the charts and start assessing some of the tickers folks are throwing out. Again, of course, folks watching both Zoom, TikTok, go ahead, throw your favorite tickers in there, ones that you would like Helaine and I to perform some technical analysis on. Of course, we're looking at this kind of from a short to medium term swing trade
exactly.
perspective. And of course, just please remember, obviously, this is all for educational purposes only. And please do not interpret any of this as official investment advice. So with that, Helaine, let's go ahead and kick it off. What is our first ticker we're going to be analyzing here today?
Okay, first one up, and I apologize because we've just had so much going on here. I'm pretty sure that it was Intel. I'm going back in the comments to double check, but I'm pretty sure that it was Intel. So let's go ahead and jump.
Intel. I actually looked at this chart this morning when I was looking for a trade, because I knew the semis have been really doing well, at least certain pockets of semis.
Uh,
Obviously Intel has been breaking out to some new 52-week highs. This stock has had a nice recovery. Obviously, it's been a little volatile over the past 2.5 months, a
mhm.
little overbought at current levels. But Helaine, I would say when this one pulls back, gets kind of gets a little more steady, kind of levels out. I think that this breakout for Intel is pretty interesting.
I couldn't agree more. Right now, it's a little bit red hot, so it is overheated. I would be waiting for a pullback on the stock to look for an entry, but I really do like the trend, as you said, Blane. Once it pulls back, it would be an interesting spot to get into. And guys, if you're just joining us here, go ahead in the chat. Let us know a stock that you want us to analyze. Put it in the comments. If you're enjoying the live room so far, give us a like, give us a follow. But it was Intel and it was Walmart was the other
Oh,
one.
here we go. Walmart is another one. Actually, again, I looked at that one this morning. Funny enough, and I noticed that Walmart is just a massive breakout right here. The stock, it's trading up. It closed at a new all-time high close yesterday. It looks like it's certainly on pace to do that yet again today. And Helaine, you covered in your trade of the day with Eli Lilly the most recent addition to the $1 trillion market cap club. I think we might be looking at our next $1 trillion market cap stock right here. I mean, it's currently sitting at $955 billion market cap. Really would not take that huge of a move from here higher to get Walmart in the $1 trillion market cap club. So I expect this one's probably going to continue to push higher. It's a little overbought right now, but man, what a powerful trend for Walmart.
Couldn't agree more. Next up, G Chang 817 asked about OND.
OND. I'm not too familiar with this one.
Okay. This is very,
Oh, is that the right ticker? OND? Nothing pulled up for me.
Pro Shares on Demand. What was it?
Is it IOND? No.
It's Pro Shares on Demand ETF. I have never seen anything like this one.
It's not pulling up on my chart, so I apologize. Maybe go to the next one.
Okay, next up, Mark is asking about Topgolf.
That's owned by a different
Blane,
who's the golf company that owns that one?
that previous sticker was ONDS.
Oh, ONDS. Okay, here we go.
Yes, I apologize. DJing, I apologize there. ONDS. Oh, interesting. Okay. I'm not familiar with this company, but the chart is very interesting. I mean, clearly on a breakout, on a confirmed buy signal, trading above key moving averages. Absolutely started ripping higher at the beginning of January, trading above that upper Keltner channel. It looks like it's trying to take a momentary pullback in the channels and maybe also appears to be starting a leg higher. So, I mean, I'm pretty bullish on that chart.
Yeah, I mean it's certainly a little overheated, and I'd be a little cautious on entry right here, right now, just because the move it's had trading a little above those Keltner bands. Obviously, the RSI is a little hot, but I mean undoubtedly the stock is within a breakout right now.
Oh, yeah.
So that's clear. Helaine, the other one, somebody was asking about Topgolf. I think the ticker is Callaway is who actually owns that. I can't remember the ticker. It's not one that I look at all that often. It's MODG if you want to pull that one up.
Sorry, say that again.
Yeah, MODG. I have it pulled up over here on my end.
MOD. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, looking at it right now, this one clearly has a really good trend right now. Again, it's a little overheated. I mean, looking at my RSI, one thing I'll say, the RSI got above 90 yesterday on 5-day RSI. Again, that is just scorching white hot. That's a classic signal to me that stock is going to have a bit of a pullback and come in, for a couple days. It's certainly due for it, and it's being reciprocated in the top chart too. It's way over the upper Keltner channels.
Mhm.
And one thing, Helaine, too, you probably noticed this in the chart for today's trading action. We have a bit of a bearish hammer forming right there. We had the stock rally up to new intraday highs. It opened lower, rallied up higher, and now it failed and come all the way back down to roughly where it's opened, not too far above the lows of the day. So that's a pretty classic trend reversal sign right there. I think this one's probably due for a bit of a cooling off. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. At least in the short term, I think it is needing to cool off in order to continue trading higher, honestly. But I mean, overall, the trend is definitely bullish. It's just that short term definitely looks like it is setting up for a cool off period.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, just it's due for a cool off. The chart kind of looks like they're selling AI golf clubs right now. So, it needs to cool off and, build a bit of a base before it can keep trading higher. But overall, again, the trend looks good. It's just a little overheated right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Blane, next up, I know there are a number of more. Let's see. Next up is from the Zoom room. It looks like AXON.
Oh, Axon. This one has been doing really well lately. It's trying to start to recover. I know it had, kind of rough trading last year, Helaine, but looks like it's trying to start to get a little constructive.
Yeah, definitely. It just crossed above that 35-day EMA, confirming a shorter term bullish trend. It still is trading below that 200-day moving average. But I mean, it's clearly put in a low in late November and has been trading off that low, making a series of new higher highs and higher lows. So overall, a nice little bullish trend and early breakout, it looks like there.
Yep, yeah, it certainly could be trying to put that bottom in. It kind of traded down to, roughly, it kind of got into the range of where it traded down to in March and April of last year. Found some support there and is starting to trade higher. So I think it's one that certainly warrants a bit further look in the weeks to come to see if it can, kind of continue to cross and clear some of these hurdles. But I wouldn't say it's quite there yet, but it's looking very constructive on this turnaround.
I couldn't agree more, Blane. Go ahead and next up, what are we looking at?
I see Leo put in there HSBC. This isn't one I've looked at in quite some time. Obviously, in the banking space right here. Man, this looks like a great chart here, Leo. Great find. What do you think here, Helaine?
Let's see. Sorry, I apologize, Blane. I was just managing uh the room a bit. What was that ticker?
HSBC.
HSBC. Apologies. HSBC. Oh, wow. Okay. I like what I'm seeing here. Very nice.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, great trend here. It's a little overextended above the upper Keltner channels, but not, not grossly overheated, like some of the recent trading we've seen in the stock. So, it certainly looks like a very constructive trend here. I might wait for an entry inside those Keltner bands, but other than that, I mean, it looks really strong.
yep, I couldn't agree more. I'd definitely be waiting for a pullback and then a resumption of the bull trend.
Well, yep, totally agree. Do we have something coming in from the TikTok chat here?
Let's see. We have a nail from G Chang.
Nail, is that like a building ETF? Yeah, it's the leverage building ETF. Okay, here we go. That's what I thought.
Okay.
What do you think about Nail, Helene?
You know, it's trying to break out. I mean, it was on a confirmed bearish trend later in 2025, lower highs, lower lows, and then it started chopping around really in November. Since then, uh, this recent movement is very interesting because it's broken above those last highs seen in December. So it looks like things are trying to turn bullish overall, but it's just I don't see enough yet to really feel strongly in either direction. What do you think?
Yeah, totally agree. One thing I'll point out here too, this is a triple leverage ETF, so I always have to be mindful of, trading the leverage ETFs, especially the 3X leverage ETFs. But just from a technical perspective here, it certainly is starting to try to, kind of clear some hurdles. It cleared that lower high from, early December, which is encouraging. Obviously, that's largely on the back of a move lower in interest rates, which this thing is going to be trading off interest rate stories, housing market stories, things like that. And so, it traded down. It found some support dating all the way back to last year when we had, kind of where the stock found a bottom before it rallied midway through last year. It found that bottom in April and May of last year, call it around 46, 45 bucks a share. That's exactly where it traded down to here recently in November and December. Kind of had another double bottom there and is starting to rally off of that. So I would say that's pretty encouraging, that
Mhm.
it held that level and is starting to, rally higher. Obviously, it's had a substantial move off of that the
Yes.
last 4 or 5 trading days. It closed just last week, around 50 bucks per share. Now it's pushing all the way up against 70. So that's a pretty sizable move there. um, but, I wouldn't say we have a defined trend yet, nothing like that. But, just overall in the housing sector, if we do see interest rates continue to go down, could be something interesting happening here.
I couldn't agree more. And John said, "Oh, you guys use my indicators too." Yeah, that's cool, John. I hope I am assuming you're talking about different moving averages and Keltner channels. And he said he just got in on METC. It was looking decent on his indicator. So let's look at
Okay, well let's take a look and see what METC is. Not one that I'm
interest.
super familiar with. Looks like a coal play in the energy space. What do you think here, Helene?
Yeah, I mean, from the technical perspective, looking at indicators, looking at the 200-day moving average and the 35-day EMA, it just broke above both of those moving averages, confirming the buy signal. And I will also say within the Keltner channels, it's not currently overbought. It is pulling off of overbought levels. And also, as we can see, it appeared to have bottomed out in late December and has been making a new series of higher highs and higher lows from there. So really interesting, really early breakout, it appears. But interesting position, I would say. What do you
Yeah,
think?
yeah. It looks like it's trying to turn around just technical perspective here. I'm looking at a little bit different technical setup here with mine. The trend lines haven't quite indicated a full-on trend reversal. It looks like it's right on the verge of it. It's trying to break out, but it has had a pretty massive move in the last 2 weeks. Got a little overheated. Really through yesterday and starting to pull back. Down about 5% today. So it looks like it's trying to get constructive. I wouldn't be personally ready on that chart to kind of fully dive into a trade, but I would say it's starting to look more attractive.
Agreed. Agreed. And let's see. Next up is did we look at okay, I'm looking at the Zoom room, Blane.
I see
Did we,
Holland put BA in there. Let's go ahead and pull
yeah,
up Boeing. That's a great looking chart right now. By the way,
let's
Holland, I see your question too about my trade. The expiration date was February 20th on the
and
Rockwell spread.
just a moment here, guys. For everyone in the TikTok room, if you are enjoying what we're doing today, we actually send out daily email newsletters. So if you're interested in signing up, I shared a link in the chat. If for some reason you can't see it, go ahead and you can just send me a DM that you're interested or send me your email address and I'll make sure you get added to that list. But next up is Boeing, as you said, Blane. And this is an interesting one because, I mean, gosh, this one had terrible performance in the back half of 2025. I mean, really, from September through beginning of December, that was a painful chart to watch.
Yeah,
And
it was. Yeah, what were you going to say, Helaine? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, you're good. But after that bottoming out in late November, I mean, it really started to rally and made up all lost territory and then some. I mean, I'm pretty impressed with that move.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, the stock just broke out to new 52-week highs here today. And, I'll say, Helene, too, once the stock kind of started to see the worm turn in late November, early December, it started to kind of clear some of those, technical hurdles. We got a trend line buy signal in, the back half of December, according to my charts. It's one I've been watching closely myself personally, but the thing is, the stock won't let me into it because it keeps trading way overbought. Really ever since it started to move higher, call it, really mid-December on, most of the time the stock's been trading above the upper Keltner channel and just continues to move relentlessly higher. Obviously, just a, massive breakout here in progress for Boeing. Certainly, it's gotten, pretty overextended. It's, I would say it's arguably due for a good give back here in the coming, weeks. We're probably going to see that. But, I think it would be, kind of foolish to ignore the breakout that we're seeing happen right here in Boeing. It's a very powerful breakout. I think we're going to have a better opportunity on pricing to get in here pretty soon, but one really strong breakout I'm seeing here.
And I will say, like for Boeing in general, it's one that I tend to stay away from because it happens so frequently that they have a bad headline and it absolutely destroys their performance. But just from the
We had
technical
a bad run with that last year for sure.
yeah, just from a technical perspective, I mean, they really are on a great breakout right now. But just personally trading, I know that I've been burned a couple of times from poor headlines.
Yeah, and Holland, you are correct. You're pointing out that they did have good news today with their deliveries. They surpassed Airbus for I think the first time in like 6 or 7 years today in deliveries for all of 2025. So yeah, they finally did have some good news, which helped to extend them a little bit further. But yeah, Helene, I definitely know what you mean. Last year we're having sidewalls of a plane blow out, and
Yeah.
unfortunately crashes as well too. So that certainly was a bit of a weight, just the financial aspect of the story as well too. So some of those negative headlines definitely were a bit of an anchor on the stock last year. But just looking at the chart here, certainly a nice breakout in progress. One we'll be watching pretty closely here moving forward.
Okay, next up is from Hector. He's asking about LHX.
LHX. This is another one. Rocket ship stock right here. Defense names really getting a lot of big boost in the past couple days.
Oh yeah.
Helaine, what are you seeing here?
I mean, this is absolutely insane. It's parabolic. I will say today's move is telling me, I mean, we already knew it was overheated, but it's confirming that it was overheated because look, it opened what, around 340, popped above 360, and now is back down towards that opening price. I mean, that's just an absolutely insane move on a stock. But clearly breaking out, I wouldn't be looking to enter anything until it pulled back to the middle Keltner channels and then resumed the previous bull trend, because when stocks like these go parabolic, oftentimes they can continue on, but sometimes they're going to fall back to being no longer overbought, and then they kind of chop around and stay sideways instead of resuming the previous bull trend. So it's one that I would be watching closely to confirm the resumption of the bull trend before re-entering a position.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Helaine. That's not to say that it can't, continue to move higher throughout the rest of the year. Just in the short term,
Yeah.
you've gained so much ground so quickly. It's eventually gonna give some of that back. And I
Must.
think you're starting to see some of that happen today. I mean, just look at
Yeah.
today's action. It opened above 360 today, and now it's all the way down to 340. I mean, that is a massive reversal. It's still up on the day because it was such a, large move higher, but opening at 360, now it's all the way down to about 341.
Mhm.
Huge reversal. You're probably starting to see some of that give back happen right here, but obviously this one rallied up on some big geopolitical news in many
Mhm.
places around the world right now. Obviously, kind of a tailwind for the defense sector. Plus, I guess that's the result of when you get a tweet calling for a 60 to 70% increase in the defense budget. So, kind of all these stocks in this basket look that way. So, that would explain that.
Yeah, exactly, Blaine. Next up from Dell is SWK. SWK, guys, if you have more stocks that you want to say take a look at, go ahead, let us know in the chat. Let us know in the comments. I hope you're enjoying today's live. We love getting to do these with you all. If you are, give us a like, give us a follow. It's always a ton of fun for us to be here with you all. So looking
Absolutely.
at SWK. Just from the technical perspective, it's on a confirmed buy signal right now with that 35-day EMA, trading above the 200-day moving average, and the stock trading above both of them. Additionally, just looking at that run since mid-November, I mean, really, what a powerful breakout. What a great, powerful, strong breakout. Even though it's in the counter channels right now, I would say that it's still overheated at the moment. RSI wise would confirm that. So I probably wouldn't be entering at this position. I'd be waiting for more of a cooling off before entering. What do you think, Blaine?
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, obviously, there's kind of a lot of noise in this chart. Just looking over the past, call it what is this, about a year or so.
Mhm.
But in the past 3 months, really, obviously, yeah, really strong breakout in progress. But it's cleared some resistance levels, which is good to see. But yeah, it's gained a lot of ground, off of those November lows. Probably due for a bit of a pullback here. I totally agree with you.
Blaine, Bert is in the room.
Bert, welcome in. Howdy, howdy. Bert, somebody beat you to RKLB. Somebody in the Zoom chat just posted it in there. So maybe it's a good time to go ahead and pull up Larry's comment for RKLB.
Yeah.
Bert is he's our resident representative of RKLB stock. He always likes to throw that one out there. And he has been enjoying a nice ride here. So
The moon. RKLB, they have just been on an insane run. If you've been following along, they of course had a very strong pullback in October, and then around mid to late November, they put in a bottom and started trading off those lows. Since then, they have just been ripping higher. I mean, going from 42 to 87. Is that real? Oh my goodness, just in what, a month and a half or so?
Yeah, I mean that's just a crazy, crazy move. But again, anybody that's been long the stock, congratulations.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
it's not one that I have personally owned, but certainly a monster move right there. I would say again, it's technically speaking a little overheated right here,
Mhm.
but certainly a very powerful series of higher highs and higher lows. Gone a
Yeah.
little parabolic, so I would personally would warrant a little caution for me. It's probably due for a bit of a consolidation period upcoming here after this huge move, but without a doubt, the momentum is behind this stock right now.
Couldn't agree more. Next up, T-Bird is asking about J&J, hold or sell.
Oh, this is one that I really, really liked. I saw yesterday. I was like, man, this is, shaping up for a really strong entry. And of course, today it jumps almost 2%. So,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, great looking chart right here. Helaine, what are your thoughts on this one?
As you said, it is as you said, it was shaping up for a great entry, and you were right on the money there. After a bit of a consolidation period in an overall bullish trend, it began to break higher yesterday, confirmed that breakout with today's movement further breaking higher. I think it's setting up to make new 52-week highs. What do you think, Blane?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, it's right on the precipice of doing that right now. It's within, a couple points on the share price of doing that. So, unless there's, some headline that throws it off between now and then, I know it has earnings coming up next week, but I would say probably by week's end, you're probably looking at new 52-week highs on this stock right now. I don't see anything personally slowing it down.
Couldn't agree more. Next up, V-Man Scooter, say hello. Can you check out VALE, Vale?
Oh, big skiing stock right here. Wow, for to be such hold on, sorry, no, I was thinking of Vail. This is steel stock. Never mind. My apologies. I was thinking of the Vail ski resorts. My apologies. You got the tickers mixed up.
You have winter on the mind. I get it, Blane.
Yeah, yeah, I hear Vail and I'm like, oh, people are going skiing, fun. But back to what we were doing though. Vail stock here, they're in the steel industry, just so everybody knows, not skis. But what do you think here, Helene?
Yeah, I mean this is on a clear breakout, clear buy signal. Looking just at the recent movement right now, it's pretty hot, pushing up against that upper counter channel. But overall, in a very powerful trend, one that looks like it could sustain in the short term.
Yeah, without a doubt. And, we've been spotting some of these, some of the other players in the steel space lately too. Again, it's one of the ones that's been really benefiting from some of this rotation in the material space. I know, we put out a trade for some of our members the other day on Nucor, NUE.
Mhm.
And that one's been performing really strongly too. So, overall, it's a space that's, doing really well right now. Great trend here. Yeah, totally agree.
Next up is from Rick. How about BMNR? BMNR.
Here we go. So, man, this is a really tough one, Helene. This is in the healthcare biotech space, and obviously, the chart, pretty rough looking trading. It's
Yeah.
been kind of a longer term downtrend over the past year. Tried to get a bit of a breakout here recently, and in the last week, it's sold off substantially. I would assume there's probably some news related to that, but just my thoughts right here. Knowing what kind of the rest of healthcare and a lot of biotechs look like right now, they have very strong charts, have very bullish trends. To see this one not participating, I would say would warrant some caution for me.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Blaine. I'm not sure if we're looking at the same chart.
BMNR.
BMNR.
You know what? Yeah, we were not looking at the same one. Sorry, I was looking at Biomarin, or excuse me, Biomarin, and you're looking at Bitmine. My apologies. Well, we just got free analysis of another ticker there, so take that for what it's worth. BMNR here.
Bitmine. A little bit different.
There's so many tickers that we look at all the time. When I hear them, I'm like, I got the letters mixed up. My apologies.
You're good. Okay, so this one would be tough looking at the year view. So I'm going to zoom into about 3 months.
Yeah.
Now, that gives me a better idea of the actual movement of the stock for BMNR. And right now it is on a confirmed sell signal, trading below key moving averages. Also keeps getting to around the middle or upper counter channel and then trading lower. I will say in the last month or so, it is in more of a consolidation pattern, trading sideways. It looks like it potentially put in a bottom right around mid-November, but there's not enough movement yet to confirm that trend. So right now it's just chopping around, and I'd look for other positions, other stronger positions for entries.
Yeah, it's kind of, somewhat mirrored the chart in price of Bitcoin, obviously, is, big Bitcoin treasury stock here. Once Bitcoin, the forced selling there, this kind of free fall that it was in stopped, you saw some of that selling pressure abate here as well, but it's still making a series of lower highs, hadn't quite broken out to a new lower low below that November low yet. So a bit of consolidation trading right here, but certainly nothing that, screams confidence to me in the overall trend. It still looks like pretty tough, choppy trading, and nothing that has convinced me that we're seeing a reversal in trend yet.
Couldn't agree more. Okay, next up, guys, and for those of you that are in the TikToker room, we do these every Tuesday and Thursday. If you want to get reminders of these, you can sign up for our newsletter. There's a link in my profile. You could also just send me a DM saying that you want to be added to the list. I just need your email address. I'll send something in the chat with that link to sign up directly as well. Let's see. Next up we was CLS. This is from Mark, CLS.
All right, here we go. This is a good one to look at right here. What do you think, Helaine?
CLS, Elastic. That's what I thought. Okay. Let me zoom in a little bit. The last couple months have just
I've been keeping an eye on this one here recently. I think it's a little interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's in a wide consolidation range, right between what, like 260, 360 zone. It's been pretty much sideways since October. I would watch for a break out or breakdown, but right now I don't see any clear anything telling me where it's going to go. What do you think,
Yeah,
Blake?
yeah. Like you said, watching for any breakout or breakdown, and regarding the breakdown side, the stocks tried to break down on, I think, I'm counting 4 different occasions, a couple times in November, a couple times in December, or rather one time in December, one time just here a couple weeks ago in January. But every time really the stock trades down to about this 270, 275 level, it's held. It's a nice support level. It's clearly a nice floor support below the stock. It keeps trading down there and rallying off of it. So yeah, we're still seeing some of this consolidation trading right now, but I know that this is one we've traded a lot last year when it was really trending and had a great bullish trend to the upside. But this is one we know carries a lot of time value, even in this kind of choppy consolidation trend right now. Given that really strong level of support, if I was able to find an in the money call spread, call debit spread, where I could safely enter that trade below that support level right there, I would actually consider, if we continue to see this thing get constructive, I would consider actually maybe an in the money call spread on this one because I know it carries a lot of time value. Obviously, that translates to higher profit potentials for those call spreads, as a time value play. So I'm a little interested in this chart actually.
Okay, interesting. All right. Well, next up, this is from Bert. He said silver up next.
Pull up what SLV maybe, just the silver
Yeah, let's look at that.
trust ETF.
Post crypto. Okay, Bert is no. Okay, what are we doing? SLV?
Yeah, just pull up SLV. It's probably the best
Wow.
chart to show.
Wow.
Still taking off.
Yep. If you join us live, you know that I said right around Thanksgiving, I had somebody call me and say they're putting all their money on silver, and I said, "Wow, that's something." I'm sure they're sitting somewhere very happy at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt, obviously, again, this is just a trend that has just not let anybody in. If you're trying to watch with technicals,
Yeah.
certainly we always say there's sometimes that things will remain overbought for sometimes substantially longer than you think they could, and we'll just keep trading higher. This is a prime example of it right here. I'll say it, it's a chart that I missed. I knew there was a breakout happening, but I was like, oh, it's pretty overbought. Probably get, better price here soon. It just continued to just go parabolic. Again, at this point, I wouldn't be looking to enter because of the just monster move that it's had. Really, in a couple weeks, it's up over another 100% just in the past couple months. So, I wouldn't be looking to jump in here. But if anybody's been long for some time, I mean, I know you're probably doing pretty well in this one, so congrats on that. What do you think, Helaine?
Yep, I can agree more with you, Blaine. We have a number of more trees, and I think we only have a couple minutes left. So let's speed through them. Rosario asked about app. So what, app 11?
Yeah, app 11. Yep.
And
Some choppy trading for this one here.
really choppy. I mean, long term bullish, but the choppiness is making me seasick, and I would stay away and look for better opportunities personally. And
Totally agree.
the second one was mRNA, Moderna. Moderna.
Wow. Well, it had a huge move today. It's up 15%. Wow.
Oh wow. You know what? I was looking at the year chart and the way that I'm looking at it right now, you can barely see that move. But
Yeah.
zooming in, I see exactly what you're talking about there. Okay, interesting. I wonder what their news was. I mean, that it had to have been news, right?
You would have to think it had to be something. That's a pretty outsized move for Moderna, especially given the really tough trading it had last year. Um, I wouldn't say that I love it, especially after having just a huge move today. Obviously, it's very very overbought and has been on a number of occasions really within the past couple of weeks. So. It looks like it's trying to start to get constructive. Obviously, the trend lines have reversed. There's a nice trend line buy signal here, so not going to ignore that, but obviously, it's pretty extended above all those EMAs. It's way outside the upper Keltner channel band. I would probably wait for this one to cool off and see if it keeps, putting this constructive trend together before I consider any positions.
Couldn't agree more with you, Blane. Let's see, next up. Bert said, we're going to Granite Peak for a ski trip this weekend. Awesome, Bert. Enjoy the
Nice,
trip.
Bert. Have fun.
Joel asked, did we already cover INOD?
We have not, but Helaine, go ahead and tell me what you think of it.
Interesting. It looks like I'm looking at an early breakout.
Or a dead cat bounce. Which one is it? What do you think?
Only further trading will tell me. We can't predict the future. That's why we follow the trend. Right now, I would want to see a couple more higher highs and higher lows to confirm that trend and follow it along. But I mean, it broke above a number of key moving averages. It's trading above a number of key moving averages. It's making short-term higher highs and higher lows. I would lean that it's an early breakout, but I want to see further movement. What do you think, Blane?
Yep, I agree with you. I mean, I think just looking at my technicals, we don't have the trend line buy signal quite yet, but
Okay.
it's almost there. Mathematically, it's almost guaranteed that you're going to get that in the next couple of days, just with how those trend lines work. So, you're about to get a trend line buy signal triggered. Obviously, it's jumped above those. I think it is trying to turn around here. Of course, I would like to see some further confirmation, just like you said. But yeah, I think this one is starting to definitely get more constructive here.
Okay, next up is Aire, AIRE, and user 5826. I currently own 24,000 shares. Wow.
Whoa.
Okay, well, so we are technical traders, we're trend followers, and typically with penny stocks, you can't really do technical analysis on them. It's just not effective. So I apologize there. I mean, just looking at it, it appears to be slowly trading lower. But I mean, overall, it's basically flat for the last couple months. So
Yeah, and just to elaborate further on what you're saying there, Helaine, with the technical analysis on a kind of a penny stock like this, the reason we say that is just because, again, really small market cap, small float, really, big orders can really swing the stock one way or the other. It's not super liquid. So you can see plenty of examples of that here recently, just in the past year's worth of trading. There really isn't much of a trend. I mean, there's somewhat of a slight downtrend right now, but I mean, you just get these massive outsized whipsaws kind of out of nowhere. So it really makes it very difficult to try and perform the type of trend following technical analysis, type of swing trading that we like to do.
exactly.
So I would personally be staying away from this one. But
Yep.
I hope you do very well in stock. I'll say that.
Exactly. Let's see. Next up, let's see. Dorian said the VIX is rising, ATH rejection. What are you thinking for SPY the rest of this week, or IDWM or QQQ
Okay, so a little index analysis here. So,
for the rest of the week?
yeah, rest of the week, we've already printed, if you count the intraday high today, 3 all-time highs on the S&P. I know, just look at the IWM, it's ripping the new all-time highs here. So, I think we're, likely to probably end the week up, but, maybe a little lower than here. So what would you think, Helene?
Which one are you looking at right now, Wayne?
Just kind of broadly speaking, just whether you're talking about the Dow, Russell 2000, S&P 500. We've already put three or so all-time highs in the past couple trading sessions. So, I wouldn't think that we're just going to continue to hit new all-time highs every single day this week. So,
I agree.
we'll have another one. We're only sitting here at Tuesday, so a lot of trading left to go in the week. But I would say, I don't think we're just going to continue to print new all-time highs the rest of the week, every single day. So, I wouldn't think we're in for just a rip-roaring rally the rest of the week, but maybe push up against that big round number, say on the S&P 500 on 7,000, maybe settle just below it in the week.
Yep. Yep. I agree with you, Blane. And guys, with that, we have been on now an hour, so we do have to jump off. I will say Slayer XL said, funny you two, your names rhyme. I know. Helaine and
We didn't
Blane.
plan that. Sorry.
We did not. But I just want to thank you all so much for joining us today live. If you're in the TikTok room, I am going to share once again, if you want to sign up to get reminders about these live events or to join our written newsletter, I just sent you that link. You can also go to my profile. I have a link on there as well if you wanted to look at it there. Just sign up with your email address, totally free. But I just want to thank you all so much for being here live with us. We love getting to do these sessions. Technical analysis is what we do. It is our job. So we love getting to be here live, answering your questions and analyzing your trades and sharing our top picks as well. So Blane, thank you. Thank you for joining as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I love these sessions as much as you do. I really enjoy getting to, sit down, talk live with everything we're seeing in the markets and share it. So, other people can kind of see, what we're up to, what we're thinking, where we think kind of the ball is rolling. So, I really enjoy the opportunity. I really appreciate all of you both in the Zoom and TikTok room. Thank you all so much for being here, sitting here hanging out with for about an hour or so. So thank you so much for being here. And like I said, Helaine, we'll be back on Thursday for the next edition. So make sure to, if you have time today, please make sure to join us here live. Again, we always love the engagement interaction. So thanks so much for that. But until then, we got to go hop back into the markets and see what's going on. But we'll see you back here Thursday.
Yeah, see you then.
Take care, everybody.